Conor Chaplin obviously can't play on Sunday. Hasn't really done anything at Pompey this season, I think it's fair to say. Town can recall him in January if they want to. And you spoke to Kieran about that. The problem is, of course, that there is now that Nunes is pretty much nailed on as the 10, and then in theory you've got Smodics and Akpom as well in that position. So it's kind of cluttered. But could you see, for example, a scenario where they bring Chaplin back and maybe look to move one of the other ones on? For example, Smodics, we talked about, not really making much of a mark this season.
I could definitely see potential for that. Yeah. I can probably talk about this now because the story is going to go online by the time this podcast goes out. But Kieran McKenna was asked directly about, are you considering recalling Conor Chaplin? And he didn't rule it out. He basically said, my full focus, as he's kind of repeatedly said, has been on this kind of busy period of Christmas, New Year fixtures. Once we get beyond Sunday's game against Portsmouth, we'll properly assess every area of the squad, and that includes loans and recalling them. So hasn't kind of formally discussed it, but we're talking about Ipswich wanting to sign players that can hit the ground running. You go out and spend a load of money on someone that may or may not work, or you can recall Conor Chaplin, where you know exactly what you're going to get on and off the pitch from him. I certainly wouldn't be against it. He hasn't scored for Portsmouth. I think there's been some frustrations. They've not quite found the right place for him in the team. He's played wide at times. If he was there and loving it and scoring every week back at his boyhood club, he might say, look, come on, leave me down here. Rather than coming back and playing a bit part role. But I think there's a scenario where he can come back and provide a lift off the pitch. He'd certainly provide the crowd with a lift. Look at the energy that Wes Burns' return has provided in recent weeks. Conor Chaplin would certainly amplify that. I'm not against it, but there'd have to be some offsetting in terms of exits, and that's the same in multiple positions, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Chaplin, as you say, almost more valuable coming back up, in terms of off the pitch. We know what great character is. He knows exactly what it takes to get promoted, and he's loved here. And I think that he'd be extremely valuable in kind of just his presence